Hello. I'd like to welcome everyone. Being at 5 o'clock, I'll call the meeting to order. We have Councillor Head on by Teams. Are you on, Councillor Head?
Yes, but I don't see any picture, but I can hear you.
Okay, she'll work on that. Thank you. So I'll ask everyone to stand and the city clerk to say the prayer.
O God, let us each in our own way ask your wisdom and guidance in our deliberations. Help us to incorporate into all our decisions those values which will enable us to fulfill our mission, to act as responsible stewards, and to respect and value the cultural and spiritual tradition of all citizens of the City of Prince Albert. For this we pray. Amen.
Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge that we're on Treaty 6 land, the home of the Métis. And I'll move to number 3, approval of the agenda. But we have an item on the desk. Do we have to add that?
Yes, we have to add that too. Yes.
Okay, whoever approves the agenda, we also get the approval to add the item that we left on the desk as part of the agenda package. Oops, sorry. Councillor Solomon.
I'll move that the agenda for this meeting be approved as amended, and that the presentations, delegations, and speakers listed on the agenda be heard when called for by the mayor, and the addition of supplemental report 24-121.
Thank you.
Is what you wanted.
Seconder, Councillor Brodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll second the motion.
Thank you, and I'll prompt the question, everyone.
Your Worship, if I may,
Yes.
was that document emailed to myself?
Yes, it was.
Good. Thank you.
Yes, it was. Okay, the voting is now open. Councillor Head.
In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. Presentations this evening, we have none. Declaration of conflict of interest, you all know what that is. You have to get up and declare it, and then put it in writing and give it to the clerk. So do we have any conflict of interest?
Your Worship, I could.
Just give me 1 minute, please. Sorry. How come this won't clear? Oh, maybe I didn't hit this one. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Head.
Thank you. I'm going to declare a conflict on 11/16, collective bargaining. My employer is with QB.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. 11.11, I sit on the Alcohol Strategy Committee, so I'll be excusing myself.
Okay. Councillor Zapp.
Thank you. I declare conflict of interest on item 11.16, Memorandum of Agreement to conclude collective bargaining, as my spouse is the QP National representative assigned to this matter.
What number was that again? Sorry.
11.16.
Thank you. Councillor Solomon.
Thank you. I'm also going to declare a conflict on 11.116, Memorandum of Agreement to conclude collective bargaining for QP 160, as my son was a city employee at the time and will be receiving compensation through this agreement.
Thank you. Okay, everyone, you got that? Thank you. Adoption of the minutes. Councillor Miller.
That the minutes of the council regular meeting held March 25th, 2024, and the special council meeting held March 27th, 2024, be taken, read, and adopted.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll second that.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. The question is now open. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, notice of proclamations. I had quite a few this last term. 7.1 World Tuberculosis Day, March 24th, 2024. 7.2 Human Values Day, April 24th, 2024. 7.3 World Press Freedom Day, May 3rd, 2024. 7.4 Pitch-In Week, May 6th to the 11th. Number 7, GBS/S1DP Awareness Month, May of '24. And today, so people don't know, is Earth Day. And those were my proclamations. Public hearings, we have none. Delegations, we have none. Communications, we have none. 11, reports from administrations and committee. 11.1, development permit application, hospital extension. Councillor Brodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move that the discretionary use development permit application for the expansion of the existing hospital located at 1200 24th Street West be approved, subject to the applicant providing final plans for review and approval by administration for each phase of the development.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you. I'll second that.
Any questions or comments? Besides, yay. Okay. Oh, Councillor Edwards.
Yeah, just, thank you, Mayor Dion. Just supporting the motion, obviously, and just to make a few comments.
Go ahead.
Over 500 quality jobs for our city. This is a big move for our city. Thankful that we've got here. Took some time, but we're moving forward. They're moving forward, and this is going to be great for the city. Absolutely great.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, with that, I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Worship. In favor.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Now, we did have some people here in case you had any questions, but you know where the door is. But come back for the other phases. We're not throwing you out the door, but thank you for coming, and we'll let you go. And good luck with your project. $11.2.
If I could, Your Worship.
Yep. Paratransit, just wait till I get there. I'll come to you, Councillor Head. Paratransit Procedure Transportation Service Agreement. Councillor Head.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and move this motion that the Paratransit and Seniors Transportation Service Contract between the city and the Community Service Center be approved at a total budget of, sorry, your motion disappeared. Yeah. Total budget of $872,335 for 2025 and a total budget of $892,171 for 2026. 2, that administration incorporate the approved contract budget into the general fund budget for each respective year. 3, that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the contract and any other applicable documents on behalf of the city. And 4, that the request for additional funding in the amount of $52,971 as submitted by the Community Service Center to maintain the paratransit status quo level of service for 2024. Very happy about that. Be approved and funded by the Fiscal Stabilization Fund.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you, and I'd second that, and I'd like to make a comment.
Go ahead.
In moving forward, I want to send my appreciation out for all parties that were involved in the discussion and long-term 3 years of discussion that it took to come to this understanding. And transportation is the key to our success in our city, and I know that people within the city and organizations such as this one that provide transportation as a nonprofit have done yeoman service, and I just want to say thank you to all involved who made this possible.
Councillor Brodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm in favor of this motion as well, but I just want to let the public know once again a point that the City of Prince Albert never ever did cut paratransit. It was not our decision whatsoever. We took a lot of flack. I took a lot of flack personally for that, and it was the decision of the Executive Director of Community Service and the board, his board, that cut paratransit. And we gave them the same amount of money as what we did in the past. And so I think it would be wise for that misinformation that was put out on social media to be corrected by the executive director of the Community Service Center. That it was their decision and their board's decision to cut the paratransit, not City Council, not me, or any one of us. And as I said, we took a lot of flack over this. I got a lot of phone calls. I got a lot of people that were very angry and said, "How dare you do this, Dennis? We know you. How could you ever do this?" I had a neighbor say that had a child that used that service in the past. And when I said we never did and explained, showed them the budget documents, they were shocked that that they were led to believe this. And so I think, that should be corrected. Thank you.
Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Mayor Dion, and I do support the motion. Thankful that we came to a conclusion on a contract. Contracts are essential. We know that. What I do have a question for is, why did it take so long? And what was the delay in obtaining this contract?
Okay, we'll have to see. Can you answer that, Director, or no? Okay, the people that did the negotiations aren't here, but go ahead. Go to the Director. Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor Dion, through to Councillor Edwards' question. So I personally wasn't involved in the negotiations over the number of years to get here. I understand that there were delays on both CSC's side as well as on city administration's side. And then in the fall, we were working towards trying to get the agreement put in place prior to budget. Unfortunately, we didn't hit that milestone, which then kind of kicked it down the road until the new year, when we kind of kicked this off again to try to get it finalized, which is where we ended up for today.
Yeah, so we attempted to get together prior to budget, which would have been the best case scenario, right? If we would have
Yes.
had this before budget, all of this could have been settled. There would have been no misinformation from wherever the sources were. And I think it's critical that we have this for the next number of years moving forward, because misinformation, I mean, this just blew up, uncontrollable. And that's really unfortunate, because we're talking about vulnerable people here, and that's not where we needed to be. City Council voted on the numbers that we were presented for at budget, and that's critical to know. We supported the budget here. Here's the numbers that we're reading, and we kind of got blamed, and that's really unfortunate, because in the end, we all want good, proper transportation for seniors and vulnerable people and special needs people. It's important, and thankfully, the parties came together to work this out. And moving forward, I hope we can keep going with that open communication and in a positive fashion. Thank you.
Councillor Solomon.
Thank you for the report, and I also will be supporting this recommendation. I think it's really important also to note that there was no service interruption, as that was announced at one point. I'm glad that both parties were able to come together and make sure that our most vulnerable receive the services that they deserve. So I'm quite grateful for that. And I also want to thank everyone that was involved, as my colleagues have as well. But there were some savings that were found in the negotiated contract, and I think that was important that those were realized as well. So I just want to thank everybody involved, and I will be supporting.
Okay, I see nobody else in the queue. So I'll prompt the question. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. 11.3, 2024 to 27 Social Services Subsidy Bus Pass Program Letter of Understanding. Councillor Solomon.
Worship, I'll move that the letter of understanding between the city and the Ministry of Social Services regards the discounted bus pass program for 2024 through 2027 be approved, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the letter of understanding on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Councillor Zepp.
Second, and I have some comment.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I support this motion. I would note that the report indicates that in the year 2023, we had 1,779 purchased bus passes of this specific social services subsidized bus pass in that program. which gained us the revenue of $88,950. So I just wanted to note that that currently the program works is that the province contributes $25 for every individual who is a recipient of social services if they purchase one of our bus passes. We, the city, control how much we charge that individual on our end and what they pay out of pocket. And if we as a city ever consider to lower that amount, you might get more people able to pay that and come in and increase ridership and have longer term revenue increase over time. And keep in mind that $25 is each month. So often people that are riding our bus and paying that $25, they work minimum wage jobs in our city. They're traveling to, very low paid income, and sometimes are on social assistance but are working some hours, and some are not employed at all and have no income. And so it's a large amount out of pocket for someone who, because you have to be on social assistance or the SED program, and people on the SED program have employment too, and workplaces, and need to get there reliably in a city that gets very cold for half of the year. And so there are people that are working for this money, earning it, and then having to pay their portion. So I very much support this motion, and I just wanted to share that that's something that we as a city council could do to contribute to maybe the greater good of our city, but also increased revenue and more ridership on an ongoing basis. Secondary issue is to note that this contract goes till the year 2027. And how many times have we seen the provincial government contribution remaining the same at, what, $25 over a decade? I don't know how much, is it 20? I don't know how much over a decade, but over a decade, this provincial government, although they know gas prices increase and they take more out of our PST and on and on and on, they are not contributing a dime more per rider to our transit system, and we need it. So, and this goes to, we're tied now to the year 2027 with the same old $25 per rider contribution. And when you consider, what we're doing with our transit system, the province should be appropriately funding us, and that would be an increase in more than a decade.
Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you very much, and thank you for that information, Councillor Lennox-Zepp. A few things that I agree with, and I just want to make sure that we have an understanding. That is true. The $25 continuation for 27, not increasing with the provincial government, is very similar to the paratransit bus subsidy that the government continues for the last decade to say they pay 75% of the cost, which is actually only $75,000 of a $225,000 bus. So it's along the same lines in transportation, and just want to make clear that, yeah, we've noticed that for at least a decade with paratransit, and however long with this. But I do want to talk about the subsidy of busing and transportation. I want to make sure that our residents understand, and I want to verify with our Director of Public Works, that currently the city subsidizes busing, transportation, not the paratransit, but our bus system that the city has First Bus look after for us. That I think we're at about a 64% subsidy already within the transportation, but I could be wrong. What is the subsidy portion for the city residents that subsidize busing?
Thank you, Mayor Dion, through to Councillor Kilmer's question. Yeah, that's in the order of a correct number. It's in that higher 60s range for how much we're subsidizing the transit system.
Thank you very much. So just to add that to the flavor of what we're discussing, that we as a council and administration, we do subsidize transportation because it's so critical for all the reasons that you suggested. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, I'll prompt the question. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, 11.4, rotary mower tender, 12 of 24. Councillor Kilmer.
I'll move that tender number 12 of 2024 for the purchase of a rotary mower for the community services be awarded to Oak Creek Golf and Turf at a cost of $197,584, including PST, to be funded from the Fleet Equipment Reserve, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute any applicable documents on behalf of the city if required.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Brodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll second the motion.
Any comments or questions? It's now open. Councillor Head.
In favor.
Carried. Who did we miss? Don. Put him down as a yes. 11.5, side load sanitation tandem truck tender, 22 of 24. Councillor Edwards.
Also move that tender number 22 of 2024 for the purchase of side load sanitation tandem truck be awarded to Superior North America at a cost of $536,095, including PST, to be funded from the Fleet Equipment Reserve. And 2, the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute any applicable documents on behalf of the city if required.
Seconder. Councillor Solomon.
I'll second that, your worship.
Thank you. I see no one in the queue for discussion. It's now open. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. In favor.
Thank you. Carried. 11.6, food and beverage cart agreement, Prince Albert Golf and Curling Center. Center. Oh, it's club? Oh, legal name. Okay. Councillor Brodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move that a food and beverage cart service agreement between the city and the Prince Albert Golf and Curling Club, Inc. be approved for a 3-year term from May 1st of 2024 to April 30th, 2027. And 2, that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the agreement on behalf of the city.
Seconder. Councillor Edwards.
I'll second that, your worship.
Questions, comments? No one? Okay, I'll prompt the question. It's now open. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. In favor.
Okay, motion carries. 11.7, 2024 property tax bylaws. Councillor Cody.
Yes, Your Worship, I move that the following bylaws receive first and second reading. Bylaw number 2 of 2024, bylaw number 3 of 2024, number 4 of 2024, bylaw number 5 of 2024, and bylaw number 6 of 2024. That a reserve be established for the collection of revenue from the vacant residential land minimum tax relating to the vacant residential lot program, and that the one-time commercial abatement program be approved.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Edwards.
I'll second it, your worship.
Thank you. Councillor Zapp.
Thank you. I'm concerned on several fronts on this motion. The first is that the base taxes that are proposed, base taxes are regressive taxes. They are called regressive taxes because they're not based on the property value that you choose to own. And so, for example, the mill rate is determined, you pay your property taxation based on a mill rate, based on a percentage of what property you own. These base taxes that we implement are charged at the same amount regardless if you choose to own a very small property or if you choose to and are able to afford a larger valued property. And then the police base tax as well is charged by door, so not even just the property owner, but also by door of each door of an apartment building, of how many people are in that building. Secondly, the commercial abatement program means that other taxpayers have to make up for the revenue that we otherwise would have obtained had we not proceeded with the commercial tax abatement on this year. And the commercial tax abatement, as we know from the report, only assists businesses that meet the criteria. And the criteria are you have to have had a large disparity from last year's taxation, property tax bill to now, and it has to be over a certain dollar figure. And as we heard at our last executive committee meeting, that the group that is going to be abated the most are groups that have had new buildings on their property. That's what is most likely to give that disparity. And so other business owners who have, put in their property tax year after year and have gone through the ups and downs in our city are not being abated. They are not receiving any abatement. This is a very specific criteria abatement and one that hurts other taxpayers, other businesses, other residents, because we have to make up the revenue at some point in some way. Those are my submissions.
Thank you. I see no one else in the queue. Oh, Councillor Cody.
Yes, just a little correction. Base tax is not $35 for the police. That's a special tax. So it's not a base tax. You know, I think if you look at a base tax of $800, that's quite reasonable for our city. I know a lot of other cities that have a lot higher base taxes. And you know, if you look what a base tax really is, that means that's the minimum you pay. That's the minimum you pay for all of the service that you get. If you just take fire and police alone, that's $1,800 to $2,000 that would cost you for that service. So they're getting a pretty good deal. They're getting a lot of that free. And so I don't think we are too badly off here. I'm not a big believer in a high base tax, I agree, but I certainly am in agreement with some base tax. And I don't think we have gone overboard at $800. That's a reasonable amount, and I think we need to look at, actually, at all times, at what services we provide, and certainly when you look at police and fire, getting higher and higher all the time because equipment's higher and wages are higher and all of that, and that's $1,800 to $2,000. So I certainly think $800 for a base tax is reasonable and affordable for most people.
Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. I'm going to support the overall budget. We had a lot of discussion on a lot of different areas to get here. Lots of creativity from administration, and very thankful for that, because let's not forget, I think the open number was about 14%. Yes. And here we stand much lower than that. I think it said 2.76 overall on your taxes. So that means a $400,000 home is going to be increased approximately $150. I think that's kind of where we're sitting about. I think my power bill went up $150. Yes. What people need to recognize is we operate how many buildings in this city where power and energy and everything has gone up. And to get to the number we're at, I'm thankful for, because it was a lot of hard work to get there. Nobody likes increases. But when everything else is increasing, the cost of doing roads, everything, fuel, going up and up and up, we still want to subsidize people. Talk about busing. If we didn't approve this budget today, we couldn't subsidize necessarily the bus system that we have currently, which is heavily subsidized, one of our most heavily subsidized areas in the city. It's important to move forward with it, though. We need to be fair. A lot of people that are paying the lower amounts, we talk about base taxes. Well, somehow we need to bring up the numbers a little bit. We need more homes sitting at the $350,000 to $500,000 in our city. We need more of those homes, because if we had more, we probably wouldn't have to raise taxes as much. But the bottom line is we have a ton. We have many homes. I think we heard there's 1,000 homes roughly on the minimum tax right now. 1,000 homes on the minimum tax. We have about 12,000 properties. That's a large amount. And so a lot of the subsidies certainly go towards that area of the homes, and so be it. So we add some base taxes to try and never equal. It won't ever be an equal system, and nor should it be. But we need to slow the increases down on some of the higher valued homes. And that's what base taxes can do, because we welcome them to the city as well. We don't want to push them into the RMs either. We want the people to buy our lots in Crescent Acres, which right away will be their homes. As soon as they build, they'll be $350,000 to $400,000. Thank you for coming to the city. It's important. As far as the abatement to commercials, I support business. Many of us in this room support business. And this was something I think was very important to do. Yes, it was a certain area of businesses in between. If they went over a certain plateau, they got the abatement. And that's critical, because some of those businesses, many of those businesses are giving back to the community on a regular basis. They're giving back to our minor sports and anybody else who's looking for some donations. That's critical to have businesses, and we want to be business friendly. We've said it. Councillor Ogrodnik said it in our first term, open for business. That helps prove that we're ready for business. We treat businesses as good as we can. Thankfully, because of some of the reassessments, we got creative again and lowered some of the roadway expenses for some of these businesses that we need in our city. I don't like people driving down the highway to go to other businesses. We want them in our city, and this helps, and I appreciate everything you guys have done on this. And as far as council goes, we went through hundreds of items to get to the number. Good work, thank you.
Councillor Zepp?
Just to clarify, when I spoke about base taxes, I wasn't speaking about the minimum tax, the $800 tax. I was speaking about base taxes of the, for example, the snow levy, the roadways levy, and the police, which is a special tax. But I'm speaking of base taxes being, you have to pay a certain base amount and that are not tied to the mill rate.
And I too will be supporting the motion. It's strictly because when you phone the fire department, they don't ask you what your taxes are. When you phone the police department, they don't ask you what your taxes are. When you phone Public Works for help, they don't ask you what your taxes are. They deliver the same equal services, whether you're paying $800 a year or $3,500 a year. So I'm a strong believer in user pay, and I believe we should all pay what the value of the service is, and we all get equal opportunity to that service. We don't deny service to anyone, whether you pay $800 or $3,000. That service is available. And there's a value to that, and there's a cost to that. And I believe in being equal and fair, and that user pays. So I also will be supporting the motion. Okay, I'll prompt the question. Question's now open. Councillor Head?
In favor.
Thank you. City Clerk?
Mayor, we have bylaw number 2 of 2024 to raise the amount of taxes for general municipal, library, and capital projects for 2024. Bylaw number 3 of 2024 to raise revenue required for snow management to be completed in 2024. Bylaw number 4 of 2024 to raise revenue for roadways work to be completed in 2024. Bylaw number 5 of 2024 to raise revenue for police service in 2024. And bylaw number 6 of 2024 to raise revenue for the Business Improvement District for 2024. These bylaws are for first and second reading today.
Thank you. Councillor Cody?
Yes, your worship, I move that bylaw number 2 of 2024 be introduced and read a first time.
Councillor Edwards?
Second that.
Thank you. Prompt the question. Question is now open. Councillor Head?
Thank you, Your Worship. In favor.
Thank you. Carried.
Who forgot to vote?
Your worship, I move that, that bylaw number 2 of 2024 be read a second time.
Councillor Edwards?
I'll second that, your worship.
Thank you. Prompt the question.
I think that was Tony's.
Questions now open. Councillor Head?
Thank you, Your Worship. In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. Councillor Cody?
I move that bylaw number 3 of 2024 be introduced and read a first time.
Councillor Edwards?
I'll second that, your worship.
Thank you. Prompt the question. Questions now open. Councillor Head?
In favor.
Motion carries. Councillor Cody?
I move that bylaw number 3 of 2024 be read a second time.
Councillor Edwards?
Seconded, your worship.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. Councillor Head?
In favor.
Thank you. Carried. Councillor Cody?
I move that bylaw number 4 of 2024 be introduced a first time.
Councillor Edwards?
Seconded, your worship.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. Councillor Head?
Thank you, Your Worship. In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. Councillor Cody?
Yes, I move that bylaw number 4 of 2024 be read a second time.
Councillor Edwards?
Second that, Mayor Dion.
Thank you.
Legs are getting stiff.
Questions now open. Councillor Head?
In favor.
Carried. Councillor Cody?
Yes, I move that bylaw number 5 of 2024 be introduced and read a first time.
Councillor Edwards?
Second that, your worship.
Thank you. Let me prompt the question. Questions now open. Councillor Head?
In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. Councillor Cody?
Yes, I move that bylaw number 5 of 2024 be read a second time. And before we go on to,
Councillor Edwards?
Seconded.
Back to you, Councillor Cody.
Your worship, before we go on to completing it, this is our last bylaw. I just want to say a big thank you to administration and the folks who worked on the budget. And equally a big thanks to this council. You know, we sat for many days, many evenings, we sat for many times, and at one time we thought we were really in the glue. But through perseverance and through cutting and through adding to and taking away and what have you, we were able to come up with a budget that gives you 4% increase and a few minor increases in special tax. I think it's a commendable thing when you can have a group of people like this work together with the administration and get that kind of a result. Do you recognize what we've done here? We have brought a budget out to run a city of this size and still only 4% tax increase. If you look at some of the jurisdictions, and I read the magazines almost on a daily basis, some of them are up to 30, 40, 50% increase. So, you know, we've done a fairly good job. And it isn't that we have cut any services or anything. We've cut nothing. We've got good bus service. We've got good roads. We've got good, all of the things that we need in this budget. Sanitation, of course, is a different operation. But we've got a lot of good things in this community. Look at the parks we have. Do you realize We've got more parks in this city than anywhere else in North America. And they're all good parks. A lot of money is spent. A lot of money is spent. If you were to look at the budgets that we went through and look at the subsidies that we give to the people of the city of Prince Albert, it's unbelievable. $600,000 or $700,000 for the Art Hauser Center. Alfred Jenkins Center, $300,000-400,000. The bus company, $600,000 or $700,000. Those are the subsidies that we, the taxpayers, and you, the taxpayers, help out giving your citizens a good deal. There aren't many jurisdictions in the world that you could go to that have this kind of service and at this kind of a price. And I'm proud of this city, and I'm proud of the things that we've done. They've done a good job here. It may well be the last time I have this opportunity. Who knows? But if I want to say, it's been a tremendously good job this year. Each year is a tough budget year. Each year is a tough budget year. We can never get enough funds from provincial and federal governments. We get a little extra money this year at profit or on revenue sharing, but you know, when you look at the cuts that were made in 2017, we're still nowhere near where we should have been because we took a hit in 2017 and went from 1% PST to 0.75% PST. So if we were to get those funds now, with all of the PST that's been collected these days, even on a bag of chips, I can tell you right now, we would be getting a pile of money and you likely wouldn't have any tax increase. But that isn't the way it is. So I want to say again, thank you ever so much, administration. You've done a good job and keep up the good work. You are doing a great job for your people who hired you. And that's the people of the city of Prince Albert. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you, Councillor Cody. Councillor Edwards, you wanted to add something? No? Good? Okay, I'll prompt the question then. It's now open. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. In favor.
Motion carries. Thank you. Oh, pad bid. You threw us off, Councillor Cody. You gotta push your button. You gotta push your button. Push your button.
I thought we were done.
So did I. Go
I
ahead.
moved that bylaw number 6 of 2024 be introduced and read a first time.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Okay, I'll prompt the question. Question's now open. Councillor Head.
In favor.
I think we're done now.
Thank you. Councillor Cody.
Yes, I move that bylaw number 6 of 2024 be introduced and read a second time.
Thank you. Councillor Edwards.
I'll second that.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Wow. Question's now open. Councillor Head.
In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, now we're moving on. Okay, thank you. 11.8, request for tax relief application. Councillor Cody? You got your light on again? It was a mistake?
I guess my button's still on, so here I go.
Then get up.
Well, I agree with administration, so I will move that the application request for tax relief from Canadian Revival Centre Corporation be denied based on the criteria included in the city's policy for applications for tax relief number 51.
Thank you. Councillor Brodnick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Any questions?
Just a question.
Go
I have a
ahead.
question, Your Worship.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So I'm reading the report, and it does say that the property is currently assessed at 64% taxable and 36% exempt, and denying it based on that policy that we have in place. So if this organization were to move to 100% worship or utilize the building for those needs around worship, place of worship, and or the school expands, we could see this application coming again and likely address it at that point. So it's,
Correct.
I want to believe that this isn't for this is for today. But if they do change their operations, I suspect they'll apply for another exemption.
Correct. Okay,
Okay, thank you. That's kind of the answer I was looking for. Yeah.
okay, prompt. Questions now open. Councillor Head.
In favor.
Motion carries. 11.9, SaskTel Tower Support in Principle. Councillor Edwards.
I'll move that the following two proposed locations for the new communication towers be supported in principle. 1, 32nd Street West Boulevard adjacent to the South Hill Mall, and 2, 1656th Avenue West.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Cody.
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion. Councillor Zepp.
Thank you. So SaskTel brings these items to us as council and asks us to support them in principle, and that after that process, then SaskTel will perform public consultation. I am more comfortable if SaskTel was doing their public consultation first, so that we could have that kind of information. And it really is to SaskTel to perform that. They are going to perform it, but they want it to come to us first. So I'll be voting no on this, as I did for the previous items for that reason. I would like to be able to hear from the public. There may be concerns that I'm not aware of yet that may arise through that public consultation process.
Okay, I have a question for the director. Do you mind? They're just notifying us under law. They have the right to, I understand, proceed without us. But my other question too is, are these the only two towers? I understood there was going to be 5. And now they're just piecemealing it and want 2, or they're going to lose some support here if they, you know, because you're right, we want to hear from the public. But so is there more towers coming up, and what's the process? Go ahead, Director.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, for the question. So far to date, we've approved 6 locations for these towers. We did them in groups of 3, and this is 2 more, so this is number 7 and 8. We did question SaskTel on whether or not we could approve them all as a group. However, we're told that there's kind of a trickle-down effect of one affects the placement of the next, and so on and so forth. So their engineering group requests that we approve them in groups as they've done. We do have 2 more that I see coming in the next couple of months. And I appreciate Councillor Zepp's comments as well, and we've asked as well if they could do the public notification first so we can receive feedback, but they've told us that they require support in principle from the jurisdiction first to enable them to move ahead with their public notification process. But I appreciate the question and the comments.
Okay, Councillor Miller.
Thank you. I was just wondering as well, like we did approve some of them, but they haven't built anything yet. So how are we to know if it's any good or not for the residents that it's going to affect?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Miller, for the question. So essentially what they've done is getting support in principle from the city to approve the locations. So once approved, what they do is they go back to their engineering team, and you're exactly right. They have not fully designed these SaskTel towers as of yet. They design them based on the location. So they need that figured out first, then they'll design them, and then we'll enter into those lease and sale agreements. So I know they've started their public consultation process on the first couple of locations, and they're currently under design consideration.
Okay. I have Councillor Edwards and Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. Just for clarification purposes, by supporting this motion, we're supporting public consultation. Without this approval, they won't go to public consultation, is how I understand it. We need to approve this so we can get public consultation, which we value.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Edwards, for the question. It's not required to get city support, although it's certainly, you know, that's their
Best
wish,
practice,
and that's past practice. So yes, they do ask of us to support, to move forward to the next steps of public consultation, but in approving support in principle tonight, you are in no way, you know, quote unquote, approving through any formal application process. That is
Right.
completely their
More to
jurisdiction.
move forward to the public consultation process, which I support. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Seeing no one in the queue, I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. Councillor Head,
In favor.
try it now. Yeah, it's open now. Carried. Thank you. 1110, Affordable Housing Program Application, Prince Albert Community Housing Society. Councillor Miller.
Thank you. That the Affordable Housing Program application for Prince Albert Community Housing Society, Inc., in the amount of $25,000 be approved and subject to the application entered into a 15-year operating agreement with the city, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the agreement on behalf of the city.
Councillor Brodnick.
Thank you. I'll second the motion. And I just do have a question.
Go ahead, sir.
Hi, thank you. Hi, thank you. I received some questions from a contractor, and this is directed to the Director of Public Works, that in other communities, they allow private contractors to actually tap into the main line and go through city property and then bring the services to that property. And I was just wondering why we don't do that, or if we've ever considered doing that, and what are some of the pros and cons of doing that type of thing, contracting it out to private contractors rather than city employees always doing it. Might speed up the process, is what the contractor said.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Through to Councillor Grodnick's question. Thank you. That's a very good question. The main reason that we do it is just the risk to our drinking water system. Effectively, every time you're tying into the system, you're depressurizing a section of it. So when you depressurize that potentially permits for bacteria and other pathogens to get into the system. And then there's a process to put that back into service. That process involves notifying regulators, communicating to residents what the requirements are for drinking that water, and then stepping through and making sure that samples are sent away to an approved lab to prove that stretch of the water main is safe for human consumption. Other jurisdictions may have contractors who more regularly work directly on live systems, but typically contractors in this area would work on maybe new builds, so stretches of water main that's just being constructed and it's isolated from our system. So I think from the perspective of the city is that with the risks involved, the city having control over each of those steps gives us the assurance that public safety is maintained, as well as that communication is done in an appropriate manner with city residents.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And just before I jump to thing, and I support that too, because if they install it and it breaks, then it's on us to go repair it, and we don't know how they fixed it. Councillor Zepp?
Thank you. This is another great project to have Prince Albert Community Housing Society doing this work is really good for our city to have affordable housing and appropriate housing that we need. So this is $25,000 appropriately through meeting our criteria and our policies, and that is great. It just reminds me of how important the housing reserve is, and that it really matters to our people who live in our city. That is something that impacts, and we as a city, we don't, there are very specific ways that we pay for housing, the housing issue, And they're limited. We're not the provincial government. But this is one of the ways that we do contribute to positive housing development in our city. And so right now, our housing reserve is in a healthy balance. But I do remind council that we have a policy that we do input $42,000 every budget cycle. And for the past several years, we have not input that money into the housing reserve, saying that the reserve is at a healthy balance and it's not needed. And that includes this year. We did not input those funds. And when I see us spend $25,000 quite appropriately on a positive project, it just reminds me, and I just want to make that note, that this reserve matters. We use it, and that it does get depleted eventually. And there's a reason we have that policy to input $42,000 every budget year.
Councillor Edwards?
Thanks, Mayor Dion. So the reserve this is coming from, how was this funded?
Go ahead, Director of Public Works. Oh, sorry, Planning.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Through the annual budget process, historically, a certain percentage of the taxes from affordable housing projects populated the reserve to the tune of about $43,000. About 6 or 7 years ago, council made the decision to ensure that that was sustainable and to fund that amount of just over $42,000, so it doesn't fluctuate from year to year. So that is how the reserve is funded, and there's just over $425,000 in the reserve currently.
Thank you. So the funding came from the residents and the businesses of Prince Albert over time.
Of that reserve, correct, yes.
And council came to the conclusion that there was a healthy enough balance in there to not fund that this year, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other? Okay, I see no one else. I'll pump the question. Question's now open. Councillor Head?
Thank you, Your Worship. In favor.
Thank you. Carried. Okay, 1111, bylaw number 13 to 2024 liquor store license bylaw. Councillor Miller.
Yes, I'll take my leave.
Oh.
For conflict of interest. Thank you.
She's a customer. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you very much. I would like to move this, but with an amendment in the bylaw.
Okay, go ahead.
I would like to change the hours from being 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. to 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., leaving the 11 p.m.
So you're adding 2 hours?
No, 1 hour, 9 a.m. in the morning.
Okay.
And I would speak to it after if this is the appropriate time and how to manage this. So I've never done this before, so in my 4 years, so.
It's not an amendment. It's just a motion. We'd have to vote on the amendment first.
So I could read it and then explain after, if I get a seconder, explain my reasons.
Okay. Yeah, it's not actually an amendment because you're moving the motion, so you have the right to adjust it. Unless
Okay,
you
I'm
wanted
just
to
trying
vote it.
to figure out
Unless
how to
you-
put it in the wording of the bylaw itself.
She's on it. Yeah.
Correct. Correct. So I'll move that the bylaw number 13 of 2024 be introduced and given 3 readings with the following amendment, that the hours of operation be amended to 9 a.m. instead of 10 a.m. Number 2, that administration advise alcohol retailers and the Saskatchewan Liquor Gaming Authority once the bylaw is approved. And number 3, that administration provide a report on the impact of the bylaw in 12 months.
Seconder,
I gotta make sure.
Councillor Edwards.
I'm gonna just make sure that the amendment is to go from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m.,
Yes.
right? So it doesn't say that anywhere in there. Maybe, I don't know whether we need it in there.
Well, doesn't the,
The only thing I'm changing is the 9 a.m.
Right.
Yeah,
just
because the
9 a.m.
11's in there. That's why I asked if she was changing it twice.
Yeah, I just wanted clarification
no.
on that. Thank you.
Yeah, you did.
So are we voting on the amendment or are we voting on this all as one?
All,
Yeah, we have to vote on just an amendment.
no, she's not moving an amendment. She changed the motion. So she changed the motion that the hours be changed from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. Okay, because she moved the motion. He seconded. Okay, any comments, Councillor Kilmer?
Thank you very much. So this has been a huge topic for a number of years. As in my former position, I had many questions involving this as well. Our community continues to struggle and we continue staying on the same issues time after time after time. And I'm very proud that we have found the government of Saskatchewan has changed legislation that allows us as the City of Prince Albert to set the time. At first, when I was reading it, my thoughts were, lower even the 11 p.m. But I do believe in business, and I believe that we're open for business. I believe that our responsible community partners that have businesses, when there is the bookends, that have done, that have opened a liquor business that wasn't government run, that they found that the best way to run their business was in the hours of many of our establishments, between the hours of 9, and some of them are closing at 9, not as late as 11 or others, or other hours. So I have reached out to some of the businesses and some community partners and recognized that 9 a.m., the 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. is part of a good business plan. The people that are using that plan going in are people, are normal residents, the guys going for coffee and then on their way back, stop and visit the establishment to make their purchase. But the hours past 11 are the ones that aren't as good decision makers. And so I do feel that for all of the reasons that were put in the report, all of the reasons of perhaps lessening the effects for females and males in our city, and hospital visits, the police involvement, that certainly liquor establishments between the hours of 9 and 11, 9 a.m. and 11 p.m. can serve our city well to meet those needs. I also like what is in item number 2, that the Saskatchewan Liquor and Gaming Authority, once we notify them, they have a responsibility as well to enforce the other places where liquor is being sold in our city at times where it should not be sold. I did not realize but recognize that now that the rule is if you are using skip the dishes at some of our establishments to buy food and it's after the 11 o'clock and you're going to get also purchase alcohol, that your food bill must exceed the amount of the alcohol bill. So we've got a lot of education to do. But for me, I really believe a 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. serves our responsible business community well and is worth us trying for a 12-month period of time to see if there can be an adjustment in behavior in our city. Thank you.
Councillor Brodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your comments, Councillor. I don't agree with all of them, and I think the 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. is a good idea.
So do I.
If this motion said we amend established liquor stores, maybe, because I think what we're doing is it's our drive-through, and in particular some of them, that are causing a lot of the problems that early in the morning. And so therefore, I don't know if I'm going to support this amendment. I won't support this amendment. I think it should be 10 to 11. PM. If the, as I said, if the motion said for, you know, established liquor stores that, you know, don't have the drive-throughs, then perhaps I might agree to it, but to have this, we're, you know, it's only changing 1 hour in one particular drive-through, so that's just my thought, sorry. But that's what I believe. Thank you.
Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Mayor Dion, and I'm going to support the motion as it sits, opening up at 9 a.m. and I am because I've heard from some businesses and a lot of them talking about capturing the lake traffic, the tourism that we want to stop in our city. And you know what? I have to trust in some of those conversations that they may know better who's stopping into the businesses. And to me, that's important. If we don't stop, and I think we're lacking on that over the last few years of people not stopping in our city. We want them to stop. Now, I do think we're already reducing right now. We're reducing some operations are open from 8 a.m. till 3. They're open 19 hours in the day. So by this motion, we're reducing to 13 hours. So we're 6-hour difference, and that's quite a bit, I think. And I think it's fair. I do agree. 8 a.m. I think is too early. I think we see a lineup at some of these establishments already at 8 a.m. I'm okay with moving it an hour later, I think, but closing an hour or closing much earlier is also critical, and we are. So I do support the hours that Councillor Kilmer brought forward. My concern overall, and I think we need a review of this, is in 6 months. My concern and what I've heard from lots of people is bootlegging. I think it's probably occurring already. How are we, and we're not responsible to control bootlegging, but we're changing these hours so somehow we play a role in this. So if bootlegging is increased, we catch wind that bootlegging is increased, what happens? The Sask Liquor and Gaming, I'm not sure they're going to be able to control some of that. So how do we control it? I know, Mayor Dion, you've talked lots in your history about bootlegging, and this where I support, it could lead into some of that. And I know you don't support bootlegging. I certainly don't support bootlegging. So I want to try and avoid that as much as possible. It needs to be monitored. I hope it can be. I don't know who's going to monitor it, but I hope those that are going to bootleg, or maybe hopefully we can trust people that they're not, but I hope those that may choose to do so are caught, and caught quickly. But how are they going to get that? I don't know who can respond to that.
Must be a bootlegger. He wants to answer it. I don't know what the
on the
director of
contrary.
planning would do.
Thank you, Mayor. I think it's important to note that, first of all, we know our community safety and wellbeing coordinators in the gallery that can answer your questions. As part of this bylaw consideration, we already have established our alcohol retailers action team for that exact reason. We know there are going to be impacts. We know there are going to be consequences, good and bad, potentially, of the passing of this bylaw. That group has already been established and has met. And that is the group, to answer your question, that those types of challenges will be referred to, they'll be discussed, and as necessary, reported back to council on. So we do have a mechanism to make sure we capture those comments and those concerns.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope we see something back. When will we see another report back on this? It says 12 months?
12 months.
12 months trial? Okay. So I do support it. I hope that the restaurants abide by the rules that do support, because the pressure is going to be on them as well. I hope they abide by the regulations. Thank you.
Okay, just before I go to you, councillors, I have a few comments, if you don't mind.
Me as well, Your Worship. Yeah.
Okay, I will not support the change. And I am a strong supporter against bootlegging. Bootlegging is caused when you can't buy liquor Bootlegging is not caused when you have a 13-hour window to buy liquor legally. Bootlegging is caused when you don't have access to that liquor, and I'm going to sell it to you illegally. I remember, you can say bootlegging, I remember, I'm still waiting for the mob from Chicago to move up here since we opened the casino. The mob was coming. Organized crime was coming. I could list 10 things that they told me about the casino that I'm still waiting for to happen. And that's why we have a study. In a year, we'll know. I don't think bootlegging is going to affect it at all, strictly because you still have all those hours to get your booze. So I'm not going to pay an extra thing if I miss an hour. And no, I believe in the grocery store model. We all know when the grocery store is open, we always have food on our table. We don't forget to get food. It's the same thing if someone's coming to have a birthday party. We're going to make sure that we have the spirits. We're going to go within those hours. And so that's my stand as well, too. Councillor Zepp.
Thank you. I have three different categories I
Councillor
wanted to speak to on this item. The first is the process, and so I would note that that this matter did go through executive committee process, and that it passed at executive committee process to recommend amending a 10 a.m. start time, and then a bylaw was drafted, and we are now at this stage now. I would also note that the report indicates that consultations have occurred, and it indicates that stakeholder consultation was performed. Stakeholder feedback highlighted broad support from the bylaw from who you would expect, which is the human services providers, emergency services, and businesses, with the exception of alcohol retailers. So they did raise their concerns through the proper process, showing that indicating the impact on their revenue. And since that consultation stakeholder meeting, the administration has continued to speak with alcohol retailers and stakeholders, and they raised potential concern about potential for people using alcohol stores outside city limits, increased foot traffic and traffic on the highway, concerns that a 10 a.m. store opening will impact opportunity for PA businesses to serve lakebound customers, concern that closures on statutory holidays would exacerbate the impact of the bylaw on alcohol retailers, feedback that restricting the hours of sale very likely to have a meaningful impact on calls for emergency services, and then the police service added as well in that report their feedback. So that's just the process side. That process has already happened, and we did get to this bylaw with a plan for a 10 a.m. start time. My second item is the issue, and I don't know the answer, but I'd love to see as time goes on some evidence on the issue. Is the issue the start time hours, or is it what we're selling? And we have talked in this chamber in the past, I recall, about the difference between high alcohol percentage items like hard liquor compared to low percentage alcohol items. And is that the real issue? That I'd love to hear more evidence and know about. Does that something that would better impact our city in a positive way or not? And I don't know the answer, but I'd like to know more about that topic. And lastly, I just want to confirm with the Director of Planning, my understanding is that our cannabis store hours are currently set for 11 to 11. Do I have that accurately? Seeing him nodding, I will take that as a yes. So my last thought is that I was on council the term when we did enact the cannabis restriction hours, and at that time, that was the first time that our province had allowed cannabis retail. So we were being cautious. There was a lot of effort and research put into those reports at that time, and time has now gone on, and now, as it stands now, I'd like to know if any member of council can justify why cannabis store hours can operate less than liquor store hours now. And I understand when it happened, you know, what it was new, but now we're not new. And so I'm thinking that I should be making a notice of motion, not at this stage, but at notice of motion portion of today's meeting, to seek administration to perform a review of the cannabis store hours. And should they not, whatever passes here for alcohol, can anybody here justify why they wouldn't match? The same arguments apply, but we have I've heard less police concerns about our cannabis store users than our liquor store users. So whatever it is, I don't know what we'll land on for time, and I don't know what the correct operation time is, but whatever it is, I think now that cannabis stores are no longer a new item to be cautious for. I think we can't justify them being different any longer. And it's the same reasons in this report, and the same reasons Councillor Kilmer stated, that we're open for business, and these, this is a business where they can make money, and, we're impacting their ability to market and thrive, and to fulfill, for, as Councillor Kilmer said, people that are walking in at 9 a.m. that they want to buy product. Well, can anyone justify why we would not want those two to be equivalent now? I don't think so. So I think you'll see a notice of motion of mine tonight.
Bigger headache. Okay, Councillor Head, and then I'll go to Councillor Solomon.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm not in favor of this motion as it stands today, and there's a couple of really good points that were made. And I'm just going to reiterate a few of those. A lot of work went into this, a lot of planning, a lot of discussions, a lot of feedback. A lot of the stakeholders were spoken to. I mean, I was in favor of actually shortening it even more. This would see some great benefits within our city. I mean, we've seen reports highlighting some of the successes the neighboring community LaRange is having in their emergency room and other social impacts that we'll see. So I am not in favor of this motion as amended or as presented today. If it said 11 to 11, perhaps I would vote in favor of it, and I'm in favor of the current bylaw how it's written. So thank you. That's my comments.
Councillor Solomon.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just weighing in on this, thank you for the report, of course, and thank you to my colleagues for your comments. To be quite honest, I wasn't ready for the amendment, so I've had to listen very intently and try to figure, what I've heard from residents as they've talked to me about this is they're certainly supportive of the 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. So they are looking forward to some sort of a change to help reduce the alcohol in the community and the effects that we've had from that. So I think the only way we're going to know is when we do something different, and so we have to decide what that different is. Reasoning through it back and forth, I do have concerns with business, but not because of the business necessarily from the lake traffic and those things. I am concerned with what the RM is going to do. And if we have, according to the report, 2 off-sale permits are in the Buckland RM right now for approval. How would that impact what we're going to do here today? So, and I know we don't know that, but it is certainly a consideration in my mind for that. When I look at it overall, and after listening to everyone, I'm not in favor of the 9 a.m. I'm more in favor of the 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. So, thank you.
Councillor Cody.
Yes, Your Worship. I'm not going to talk about the hours because it's an hour. An hour doesn't mean much to me at my time in life. But I tell you what, I'm going to say, if you'd have made an amendment here versus changing the motion, you'd be voting on the amendment now. And that's what people are talking about here. If you vote against this motion, that whole motion's gone and you're back to the status quo, what you have today. And that is till 3 in the morning. I don't want that. So I would vote for this motion in just because at least we'd get something. You're going to get nothing if you vote against this motion because that throws the whole thing out. And then you've got the status quo, which means 8 o'clock in the morning till 3 at night. That's not my cup of tea. So I think an error was made here, and I'm not suggesting that you made the error, Councillor, or anything like that. It's just the idea that we should have had an amendment. We could have voted on the amendment, and then if it didn't pass, then you vote on the motion, and then you'd have what you wanted.
Okay, Councillor Kilmer.
Very much. So,
And then Councillor Zepp and Councillor Rodney.
just checking, am I able to withdraw the change and then
Yes.
move the original
Yes.
amendment?
Yes.
That's what I would like to do.
Okay,
Thank you.
is that all right with the seconder? Who is the seconder? Okay,
Can I make a point of information on that as it's going to happen? I think it's a question to the city clerk on process. If this motion that was on the screen had failed, I assumed that someone in the chamber could make a new motion.
Correct.
The new motion could read just the original
yes.
motion the bylaw passed, because it's different and not the same. as the
Yes.
original.
That's what the clerk said.
That's correct. You can do that.
Hang on, Councillor Coder. hang on, Councillor Cody.
Parliamentary procedures really should be, when you're making a new motion, you got to give some people an opportunity to think about the new motion. Maybe the new motion's going to change. What do you could have it the same as it was.
Yes.
But that's really not parliamentary procedure. Parliament procedure says, look at, you make the amendment, you vote on the amendment, throw it out, leave it where it is, or whatever you want to do with it. Then you go to the main motion. And that's exactly what you'd have with your motion that would come after this, should it fail. So I would respectfully say I wouldn't be very much in favor of a new motion coming, in spite of the fact it's exactly like that, just because of parliamentary procedure.
The clerk disagrees and says it's okay to change it. Yeah. Okay, she changed her motion to, back to the original 10 to 11. Okay, Councillor Zepp, or
Oh,
did,
I think you need the amendment moved, right?
no, she taken it out.
I'm going to turn my mic off for now till I see what happens.
Good. She did it the right way. It's just no one was listening to her. You did very good job, Councillor Kilmer, but go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to move that the bylaw number 13 of 2024 be introduced and given 3 readings, that administration advise alcohol retailers in the Saskatchewan Liquor Gaming and Authority once the bylaw is approved, and that administration provide a report on the impact of the bylaw in 12 months. And if I get a seconder, I would like to speak.
Okay. Thank you. You're up.
Thank you very much. And everything that I said prior was exactly what I believe. And I really do appreciate the work that was done by this council and everyone in this council. And I also appreciate that the debate that happened here in chambers during a council meeting, just to discuss that 1 hour. I appreciate everyone's consideration and thinking about it. No, I did not discuss this prior, because it was something that I was mulling in my head. So with that mulling came a lesson learned about maybe how process it can happen. At the executive meeting, I did really consider the hours and thought about it. Unfortunately for me, I think a lot after an executive meeting as well. So when it does come to council, I do take that opportunity to make changes and express things that I do believe after I've done some due diligence myself. So I hope everyone votes for this. It's worth the change, and in 12 months we will see what we have done in the city of Prince Albert.
Councillor Zepp and then Councillor Edwards.
Again, a question on process for the city clerk. Am I missing something? I understand that Councillor Kilmer can move an amendment if she wishes.
Yes, but she wished not to. She withdrew it.
She withdrew her amendment.
She does not, okay.
She withdrew it. Okay. No. She made a motion, then she adjusted it.
Should have been an amendment, but it wasn't.
Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, and I do need to clarify a little bit too, because I was supportive of the 9 a.m., but I'm supportive of change. We needed to do something, and change is important in this matter, I think. And so, although I spoke in favor of the 9 a.m., I am going to support the motion for change. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cody.
Yeah, I'm going to certainly support the motion, no question about that. But you know what, when we look at this overall throughout the province, once again, there's a group of people in Regina abdicating their responsibility and putting it on us. Mm-hmm. They changed their procedures and said, oh, now the municipalities can do this. But you know, not all municipalities like ours that want to save people or have a bit more safety to people. L'Orange did it, we did it. We're going to have a patchwork quilt throughout this province, and that shouldn't be. That shouldn't be. We should have one law throughout the province, and it should be.
Yes.
And this would be a good one if you want to do it that, or less than the hours, doesn't matter to me. But you know, these patchwork quilt things are terrible, because every jurisdiction thinks differently. And if we had the government that would just say, look, we're going to take the responsibility ourselves, we're going to do it, here's the hours it's going to be for all jurisdictions, we wouldn't have to be standing here.
Are you looking for a question, Councillor Zepp, or are you up?
Yes, I guess I want to confirm with the director that the Larange municipality, their alcohol sale hours are 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. They are not. Could I just ask what they are?
No. Why did you could have got the answer. Hang on for a minute. You could have got the answer and passed it. Okay, hang on. Add podium. Okay.
Okay, thank you for the question, Councillor Lennox Zepp. I don't actually have those hours right in front of me now, but they're actually less than these hours that we're recommending.
Open less. Okay. Here's my question I'd like to pose is, are there concerns, and I was wondering about the Larange model and if this occurred, that people who are significantly abusing alcohol, are there concerns that individuals in that state will overbuy right before 11 p.m. and that will have additional health impacts, overuse, overdoses, leading up to our store hours opening again?
They didn't see that in Larange.
Okay.
They didn't see that in Manitoba during the strikes, which they expected to see. But the alcohol monitoring table is absolutely keeping an eye on exactly that. So alcohol withdrawals, for instance.
Yes, okay. I appreciate the answers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We're done? 1 minute. Go ahead, Solicitor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have the hours for Larange, if you would like them. They're set out in different categories. Cannabis retail outlet can sell from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. On Monday to Saturday, and on Sunday and statutory holidays, 1 p.m. To 8 p.m. Liquor retail stores are different from liquor permit restaurants or lounges. Liquor retail stores permit sales from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday to Saturday, 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. Sundays and stat holidays. Liquor permitted restaurants can sell liquor from 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. Monday to Saturday, 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. Sundays and stat holidays. And the lounge may sell beverage alcohol between the hours of 11 to 1 Monday to Saturday, and between 1 and 8 on Sunday and stat holidays.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Question for the department. Can you confirm for our bylaw, we do not appear to be distinguishing between restaurants and liquor retailers the way that Larange is? Did I read that accurately?
Go ahead, Director.
Correct.
And is that something that administration, is there a reason why we wouldn't distinguish? To me, again, I would think that there is a difference between the hours we would want restaurants to be able to serve compared to closing liquor retailing.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Councillor Lennox Zepp. There's a very thorough explanation that our solicitor could provide, but under his guidance, we clearly have the jurisdiction of only retail outlets, such as what is being contemplated this evening.
So this bylaw does not even impact our restaurants?
Correct.
Correct, okay, that makes sense to me. I see, thank you.
Okay. Any other? Go ahead, Councillor Edwards, with the question.
Just very quickly, so the restaurants can continue to sell in the restaurant, but not to go out their door, correct? Just want to be very clear on that.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Councillor Edwards. Through the chair, restaurants can continue to sell alcohol within their establishments, but those that are licensed For alcohol sales with a takeout component, you are able to take out alcohol. That has been flagged with the province. They have indicated to us that whether or not that was an oversight or considered as part of this language, that's something that we've been in continuous communication with, and that is something that we're looking for them to change as well.
So it must go out with food though, correct?
There is a 50% ratio that is required, but it's not with every single sale. They look at it over the course of time. So example, over the course of a month, they have to sell an equivalent amount of food to an equivalent amount of alcohol.
So how are we monitoring the restaurant sales of liquor? Because if I'm a restaurant owner, I don't know, I could think of some things, what I might do.
Go on.
Yeah, thank you for the question. That's not contemplated in this bylaw. This bylaw is only for retail sales, and that has been flagged already with our alcohol action team. So we'll be reporting, as the recommendation says, with SLGA.
So you have to say, you can't say it's targeting retail sales, because they're retail selling me that bottle of rye to take home from the restaurant.
Our definition of retail sales is very specific to
Brick and mortar.
complete retail outlets, not in association with the restaurant.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to prompt the question. Question's now open. Councillor Head?
Thank you, Your Worship. In favor.
Carried. Okay. Oh, yeah. You got to read the bylaw. Yeah. Don't get a hold of ahead of me, Madam Clerk.
Mayor, we have bylaw number 13 of 2024 to regulate the hours of operation for liquor retail stores selling beverage alcohol within the city. This bylaw is for 3 readings today.
Councillor Kilmer?
I move that bylaw number 13 of 2024 be introduced and read a first time.
Thank you. Seconder?
Like,
Councillor Brodnick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll second it.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Question's now open. Councillor Head?
In favor.
Motion carries. Councillor Kilmer?
I move that bylaw number 13 of 2024 be read a second time.
Thank you. Councillor Brodnick?
Thank you. I'll second the motion.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Question's now open. Councillor Head?
Thank you, Your Worship. In favor. Yep.
Thank you. Councillor Kilmer?
I move that leave be granted to read bylaw number 13 of 2024 a third time.
Thank you. Councillor Brodnick?
I second.
Thank you. I'm going to prompt the question.
You can bring back another motion. That's different. Yeah. So if you have the amendments of liquor establishments, et cetera, or
Question's now open.
restaurants, that's a different motion.
In favor.
In favor, carried unanimously. Councillor Kilmer?
I move that bylaw number 13 of 2024 be read a third time and passed, and that bylaw number 13 of 2024 be now adopted, sealed, and signed by the mayor and city clerk.
Thank you. Councillor Brodnick?
Thank you. I'm very happy to second this motion.
Thank you. And I'll prompt it again. And it's now open. Councillor Head?
In favor, your worship.
Thank you. Carried unanimously. Thank you. Do you want to get Councillor Miller then, and we'll start? Now, if you alcohol people, hey, no cheering. We'll wait till you leave. Thank you for coming, and thank you for what you do for the community. Did you think we forgot about you? 1112, digital sign application. Oh, sorry. Councillor Miller.
Thank you that the sign permit application for a digital sign be located at 4201 7th Avenue East be approved.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Solomon.
I'll second that, your worship.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? I see none in the queue. I'll get the question up. Questions now open. Councillor Head.
In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, 1113. Bylaw number 12 of 24, closure of partial 5th Avenue East. What's your wish, Council?
I'll go ahead and move this one.
You'll go ahead,
Worship.
Tony?
Yes.
Go ahead, sir.
Bylaw number 12 of 2024 be introduced and given 3 readings. 2, that the closed portion of 5th Avenue East be sold to the 2 abutting property owners for $7,187 each. And 3, that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the plan of survey and any other required documents on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Miller.
I'll second.
Thank you. I see no one in the queue, so I'll prompt the question. Questions now open.
In favor.
Councillor Head.
In favor, your worship.
Thank you. Passed unanimously. City Clerk.
Mayor, we have bylaw number 12 of 2024 to close a portion of a right-of-way on 5th Avenue East located along 15th Street East. This bylaw is for 3 readings today.
Thank you.
Worship, if I could, that bylaw number 12 of 2024 be introduced and read a first time.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Miller.
I'll second, Mayor Dion.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. Councillor Head.
In favor.
Thank you. Carried unanimously. Councillor Head.
That bylaw number 12 of 2024 be read a second time.
Councillor Miller.
I'll second, Mayor Dion.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Ooh. Questions now open. Councillor Head.
In favor.
Thank you. Carried unanimously. Councillor Head.
That leave be granted to read bylaw number 12 of 2024 a third time.
Councillor Miller.
I'll second, Mayor Dion.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Questions now open.
In favor.
Leave is granted. Councillor Head.
that bylaw number 12 of 2024 be read a third time and passed, and that bylaw number 12 of 2024 be now adopted, sealed, and signed by the mayor and city clerk.
Councillor Miller,
Yes, Mayor Dion, I'll second.
thank you. It's now open. Councillor Head.
In favor.
Okay, carried. Thank you. Okay, that was fifth. Oh, here we go, another one. Okay. 11.14, bylaw number 11 of 24, closure and sale of portion of 8th Avenue West right away. Councillor Solomon,
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move that bylaw number 11 of 2024 be introduced and given 3 readings, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the plan of survey and any other required documentation on behalf of the city. If I get a seconder, I do have some questions.
okay. Councillor Kilmer,
Thank you, I will second that.
okay, back to you, Councillor Solomon.
Thank you for that. So when reviewing the report in Schedule A, it looks like that particular section that we're proposing to close wasn't a link to Marcus Road. Is that correct? I guess through to the director?
Director of Planning.
Planning.
Mayor, and thank you, Councilor Solomon, for the question. You're correct. That undeveloped right-of-way was not intended for the connection to Marquis Road or any other city thoroughfares, for that matter.
Right. Just a follow-up question to that. Would this closure affect potential development on those 2 lots to the west in any way?
The only way the closure affects development is that it promotes it. It actually enables this current site to house more housing units. So it's a benefit to the city and a benefit to these developers as well. So no negative effects at all. In discussions internally, we only see a benefit to the community.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? No? Okay, I'm going to prompt the question. God, no, I'm looking through 150 stations here to push. Questions now open. Councillor Head?
Thank you, Your Worship. In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. City Clerk?
Mayor, we have bylaw number 11 of 2024 to close a portion of a right-of-way on 8th Avenue West, located each of 10th Avenue West and north of 36th Street West. This bylaw is for 3 readings today.
Councillor Solomon?
I'll move the bylaw number 11 of 2024 be introduced and read a first time.
Thank you. Seconder?
I'll second that.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. Councillor Head?
In favor.
Carried. Councillor Solomon?
I'll move that bylaw number 11 of 2024 be read a second time.
Councillor Kilmer?
I'll second that.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Questions open. Councillor Head?
In favor.
I'm missing somebody. I've got him. Thank you. Councillor Solomon?
I'll move that that leave be granted to read bylaw number 11 of 2024 a third time.
Seconded.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Councillor Head?
Thank you, Your Worship. In favor.
You. Thank you, carried. Leave is granted. Councillor Solomon?
I'll move that bylaw number 11 of 2024 be read a third time and passed, and that bylaw number 11 of 2024 now adopted, sealed, and signed by the mayor and city clerk.
Thank you, Councillor Kilmer.
I'll second that.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Whoa. Shit. Sorry. What did I do here? Okay, go back here. Okay, questions now open. Councillor Head?
In favor.
Carried, thank you. Okay, now we're off to 11.15, agreement to provide fire services to Peter Ballantyne Child and Family Services, Inc. Councillor Brodnick?
You weren't gonna, I thought.
No, he'd left his
Okay.
light on.
Okay, thank you. I'll move that. The agreement to provide fire services between the city and Peter Ballantyne Child and Family Services, Inc. regarding the provision of fire suppression services for the term of January 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2025 be approved, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the agreement and any other applicable documents on behalf of the city.
Seconder,
I'll second, your worship.
thank you. Any questions? Seeing none. Okay, it's now open. Councillor Head?
Thank you, your worship. In favor.
Carried. Okay. 11.16, memorandum of an agreement. And Darren stepping out. And Councillor Head's out. Okay? Everyone's out. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'll move that the memorandum of agreement between the city and the Canadian Union of Public Employees, local number 160, be approved, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the agreement on behalf of the city.
Councillor Miller?
Thank you, Mayor Dion. I'll second.
Thank you. Any questions? I see none in the queue. So I'll prompt the question. Holy. Questions now open and carried. Okay, we got to get everybody back. He looks a little pale. Is Councillor Head back? Councillor Head, you're back?
I am, your worship, yes.
Sorry. Thank you. Okay, 11.17, Federal Lobby Incentive Prince Albert Event Center. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you. I'll move that the city engage through W Law Group LLP on the terms of the consulting services agreement attached, the professional services of Douglas B. Richardson, Kings KC, to promote and lobby the federal government for approval of funding contribution toward the construction of a new event center, and to provide such confidential legal consultation, advice and services as are therefore required. That the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute on behalf of the city the consulting services agreement attached and any applicable documents, and that the city authorize the expenditures of the costs contemplated in the consulting services agreement and the additional travel expenses of the necessary local delegation needed to support the lobby initiative to maximum combination cost of $95,000 to be funded from the Recreational Center Reserve, and I'd like to speak to it later.
Thank you. Councillor
I'll
Cody.
second the motion.
Okay, back to you, Councillor Gilmer. Just hang on, Councillor Gilmer.
I have a couple questions as well, Your Worship.
Okay, can you shut yours off? Okay, you'll go after Councillor Zapp, Councillor Head. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Gilmer.
Thank you. I encourage everyone to support this motion. And the reason that I do so is that over the years, we tried, this council prior to me, tried to have the government help fund through the ISIP program the event center. And they were told, no, sorry, you have a professional hockey or a semi-professional hockey team. And from my understanding, that was about 2018, which in turn ended up, that decision and the re-looking at and the continual redefinition of what we were doing ended up in, basically, in my opinion, costing our city millions of dollars.
Yes.
The MLAs tell us that they have done everything that they can for us, that it's up to the federal government, that if the federal government helps, if we can convince them through a lobby, that they will then in turn help our city fund an event center. That's not just for the Raiders. We said that from the beginning, but we cannot forget the importance that that Raider organization does bring to our city, and how that will support the 500 new jobs that are coming because of the hospital. So we tried, we are now in a different land, and we need someone who understands that land to help us. We're in a time crunch, and with that time crunch, we need somebody who is familiar. And in my opinion, from reading the report, we have found that person, and we can use that person's expertise to help us make those really valuable connections that will bring people out of their silos to work together to help our city get and complete our phase 2 of what we have all worked hard to bring to our city. So with that, I encourage you to please support this.
Councillor Zapp.
I have several questions I'll start with. I believe they are questions for the acting city manager. What process was used to select this particular individual?
Mitch. We'll go to he's waving to city solicitor. Oh, sorry, I got to turn you on.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Zapp. Your Worship, my understanding, and of course the city manager was mostly involved in that process. I was engaged in her absence over the weekend through discussions with her, and so I have some knowledge of that. I understand that this was a single sourcing
Yes.
Contract, and so that was the process. So there was a review of the credentials. There was a recommendation made to the city with respect to this particular legal representative, who's also a federal lobbyist, and that was that's the basis of the recommendation today.
And I take it that city administration didn't believe it was a requirement to pursue any other names or options or out to tender at all?
My understanding is that there's some time sensitivity to this. The RFP process, which is always open to administration to do or for council to direct, that there was some time concerns that an RFP process wouldn't be conducive to. That is a 1 or 2 month procedure typically. So it was felt, I understand that a single sourcing was the most expedient route. There's no requirement to go that route for a legal contract under Article 3.02 of the purchasing policy under Section 154 of the Cities Act. There's no requirement for this level of and the nature of this contract.
Some other questions, but they might fall more into the realm of Community Services Department. My next question is, have we performed market research regarding this proposed recreation center?
Thank you, Councillor Lennox-Epp, for the question. So the process regarding a new event center in Prince Albert actually started 12 years ago, back in January of 2012. That started with investigating other like-sized, I'll call it, facilities that exist. Those included some in Saskatchewan, such as Moose Jaw, and others outside of the province. We attended Moose Jaw directly, learned from some of the aspects that they followed in achieving an event center in that community, very similar size population to the community of Prince Albert. So yes, there's been a lot of work over a decade now towards the opportunity for event center here in Prince Albert.
I respect what you have to say. Has there also been any market research done regarding our city, our demographics, to determine if we can fulfill a 4,500 seat arena? Have we done market research regarding our population?
Yes, so that comes in many different forms. So the Raiders were brought up as one of the main anchor tenants for this facility. Certainly, we have reports from not only the Prince Albert Raiders Hockey Club, but also the Western Hockey League, and which that brings to the community, how that's supported in the community. So very strongly brings an economic impact element to Prince Albert that should be seriously considered in the investigation of an event center here for Prince Albert. We've also investigated the opportunity to host events in a larger venue of that nature. What we do have contacts with is the 4 main promoting agencies that are available to us in North America. So those are the agencies that bring different concerts and events to communities in which that capacity, that seating capacity, is required in order to attract. We've also been a member of the Canadian Sports Event Congress for a number of years now. That is now named the Sport Tourism Alliance in Canada. And what that targets is the venue requirements that are required in order to host everything from national curling events to international curling events, as examples, to Hockey Canada events, to national skating events, and even into the arts and culture realm of things. So when we point to these kind of examples and have that type of information in front of us, it became a very key aspect in the design concept and in the full design that was approved by council ultimately. So certainly when you consider all those important factors, I would say yes, there's some strong market research that would support this new center in Prince Albert.
Question for the mayor and maybe also acting manager. What steps have been taken to convince the federal government to fund this?
Well, we've had several discussions with them, and that's why we got to the point where we need a Liberal lobbyist, because we do have a dispute going on with the federal government and the provincial government. And the provincial government has, and this is a rare opportunity for us, has given us authorization to go and directly talk to the federal government. And once we're done with the federal government, to come back and they'll step up to the plate if we can get funding from the federal government.
So I now have some, I appreciate the answers. I have some comments. It's one thing to pay $4 million for an architectural design for a facility. It's a whole other thing to commit $95,000 to a recreation center when we don't yet have the money to pay for the currently being built aquatic and arenas recreational center. How could any of us consider?
Point of information. How are you making that statement that we don't have the money? We just approved the last bid at the last council and the project is fully funded. So can you just explain to me what you mean we don't have the funding to pay for this project? Can you explain what you mean that statement?
Yes, everything that's in the last meeting of council's report that we had to borrow funds in order to make our bills, to pay our bills to the contractors. We are
Yes.
paying, what is it, more than $2 million in interest on that? We don't know how we're paying.
So it's funded. You said it wasn't funded, so you're acknowledging it's funded because you're now telling us the interest that we're paying.
I don't think we have a plan for paying for that interest.
Yes. It's part of the budget. Yeah. Mhm. Go ahead.
So how could any of us consider this, this proposed motion? I want to pull up. So we have a process under our Community Services Master Plan, Section 17. Utilize the infrastructure planning framework to guide the process of contemplating developing major infrastructure. I would think this is developing major infrastructure. The next page goes through the steps of what we as council are to do. The first step is a needs assessment. None of us can say we've seen any needs assessment occurred yet. The next step is a feasibility analysis. We have not seen any feasibility analysis yet. I have not seen, and council has not received any documentation of market research showing, for example, numbers we're projecting to have this kind of revenue come in based on our demographic and this kind of output of cost. Next step is internal project prioritization, that we use the facility planning model. We haven't looked at that. And lastly, project development. So we are not following.
Oh, just one moment. Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. This motion is about lobbying the government for funding, not whether we're building or not. This is about lobbying the government for funding, specifically, not about whether we're moving forward with the project, not about whatever you've mentioned, strictly about lobbying.
Very good point. So I'll ask that you keep your comments towards the subject that's on the board.
I'm very happy to. Who would agree to pay almost $100,000 when we're not following our own process? I can't imagine.
Okay.
Phase 3, we do have a public report indicating that, that there is a proposed, not funded, item called Phase 3, childminding and library site. That is what the public report indicates.
Okay, again, what does that have to do with lobbying?
Yes.
We're not lobbying for the money for the library, so move on to a different subject,
The
please.
point is, what are we lobbying for? Should we lobby for a new event center, or should we lobby for childminding and a library center? What should that read on that motion? We don't know yet. We have not performed our public consultation as of yet. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Bodnick.
Councillor Head was before.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Head. Councillor.
Worship.
Okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
thank you. A couple questions, and I got some of my answers through Councillor Zep's question, but yeah, I got multiple calls from residents indicating why are we hiring a lobbyist when we have our own staff? So I guess that's the question to the city manager. Why aren't we utilizing our own staff to do these lobbying efforts and or some of this council body?
Well,
Level of government?
I'm going to answer that because it's with all of us. None of us have the expertise to go to Ottawa and deal with a Liberal government that's not friendly towards our province. So when we have an opportunity to get somebody that has those connections and can get us, hopefully, our funding model, why would we not look at that? We're asking to spend $75,000 on trying to get $40 million. And if he comes back with $40 million, even $30 million, what are we going to say? Hey, or too bad? You know, and we just do not have the expertise in-house or on council to take that trip and get the appointments and speak to the people we need to know in Ottawa to try to get the funding.
Well, thank you. I also looking at the report. I mean, it says make clear that the $95,000. So it's a maximum $95,000, and we are sending a small contingent from Prince Albert as well. So there will be some of our staff attending. But what guarantees do we have? Looking at this report, there's no guarantees here either. So this could just be a waste of money, no money coming in, and I'm not holding my breath that this fellow is going to make any amends between our provincial and federal government or get through them to them. I guess there's no guarantees written in here, so that's another thing. Unless I'm missing something.
No, there's no guarantee in any of our work that we do.
Will there be contracts signed if this is passed tonight? Will there be contracts signed between individuals, or will we be forced to be borrowing the money that is promised to us again?
I'm totally lost at that question.
The question is, since there's no guarantees and people are, or in this case, the government, will there be any contracts signed moving forward out of this? I mean, other than this consultant contract that we see here, in here, it doesn't speak to any guarantees, it doesn't speak to any promises, it doesn't speak to anything other than we're going to pay them.
Well, there is no guarantee. We're going there with our hat in hand, asking for money. I'd like to, someone give me an example where someone went to Ottawa with a guarantee. If a person had a guarantee, they wouldn't have to go to Ottawa. That's why we're going there, trying to get a guarantee on some federal funding.
Last question, I guess, what is the reserve, the rec center reserve, sitting at currently? Because I believe that we've talked many of hours over this reserve, I would say, and I believe it's earmarked already. So how does this fit into that? And what is that current balance sitting at?
Do we know? Just a minute, we're checking. Go ahead, Director of Finance.
Thank you, Councillor Head. Thank you, Mayor, for the question. We're currently finalizing the 2023 financial statements, so I don't want to give an answer till we've finalized our documents.
Thank you. That's fair.
So we have are unwilling to, are unable to kind of indicate.
Not
what
at
that
this
dollar
moment.
is to be. Again, how do we vote on this motion without having that information in front of us? That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Brodnick, you had your light on?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, normally I wouldn't agree to hire another consultant. Unlike Councillor Cody, consultants. What do we get out of it? However, I think we are in a bind. We're in a huge bind because of the political climate and what's happening. And we need to have a friendly voice. We used to have a friendly voice called Ralph Goodale.
Ralph Goodale.
He was our voice, and he would advocate on many different projects. In fact, I think it's 1.5 billion in infrastructure has been brought to this province, and he advocated for all of that. He's gone. He got defeated, and now we don't have an advocate, a liberal advocate for us. And so I think in order for us to continue with the phases of this project, and this is phase 2, we need help. We need professional help to get us those funds so that we can proceed with the project. Otherwise, without federal funds, we're not going to proceed with a new event center. And with that being said, we could lose a huge business in our community, which is the Raiders. Without a new facility, we could lose that. And they bring in, last I heard, and this is a few years ago, $9-10 million a year in economic activity to the community. That would be our main tenant to this facility. Now I'm saying, with what the acting city manager said, with building an event center, and with those 4 organizations that he said, that will put us on the loop or on the circuit of all of these different kinds of activities for our community. And I could use a smaller example. Look at the Rawlinson Center. When we thought outside the box and we went in a different direction, and we got somebody that knows what they're doing, is engaged in the arts, knows so many people in the arts, got onto the circuit. Look at what's been happening at the Rawlinson Center with different events, activities of all kinds of things that are happening. Prior to that center wasn't being used to its maximum potential. And that's what we need to do. And we as a council will set in motion. We've already approved in principle phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. And now we're seeking professional help in getting phase 2, or making phase 2 become a reality for this community. And that's what it's going to do. It's going to benefit the entire community. Just like phase 1. A year from now, phase 1 will be opened, be in full operation. That splash park, wave pool, aquatic center will solve so many of our problems with swimming lessons, et cetera, and all those kinds of things. So these are positives for the city. And I will, as much as I don't want to support hiring another consultant for this kind of money, I will support it.
Thank you. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. I'm a little concerned about the timeline situation of an election probably looming. You know, I don't know if their federal budget is actually going to pass or not, or if it did. So what's the timeline for Mr. Douglas to be going there?
Our timeline is immediate. We want to have an answer back from Ottawa by the 1st of September.
Okay. And so if there's an election called in between this time, are you just going to go ahead with the next prime minister, or?
Well,
what's
we
going to
can't
happen?
do hypothetical things. The way it stands now, the election's in 15 months. So we have no other, anything different than that, that it's in 15 months unless the government falls. And we have no control over that.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Cody.
Yes, Your Worship, and council members. The thing I really don't like about this debate here today is the fact that we have some councillors throwing some doubt to the public.
Yes.
And you know, this is a bothersome thing to me. You know, you should never do that. This doesn't do the city any good. We're trying our level best as a community to get something going, something that we really need to get going. How are we going to do it? We're going to do it by a lobbyist. Am I in favor of consultants? No, you know where I stand on consultants. But I can tell you there's just lobbyists used every day, and every day. They're registered with the provincial government, federal government, with the United States government and all. I can recall when I was on the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Board of Directors, I was a lobbyist. I went down to Washington, D.C. to lobby on behalf of the governments of Saskatchewan, Alberta, Manitoba, and British Columbia, and some of the Maritimes, with regard to softwood lumber. I was a lobbyist. I went down there. Did I have any guarantees? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. You go down there and you speak to the Secretary of State, you speak to whomever you can get to speak to, and you talk to them about the issues that you've got here, and what you want to do is get something done. And all we're doing here by hiring Doug Richardson is because we want to get something done. We want to get this second phase going, or third phase, whichever phase you'd like to call it. We want to get the event center up and running. We want to keep the Raiders. We want concerts to come. We want people to do business in our community. And that's why we've hired and are going to hire Doug Richardson. I know Doug Richardson very well. Very, very well. Is he of my political stripe? Not quite. Not quite. But nevertheless, I can tell you this, he can lobby. There's no question about it. He was on a board of mine. As a matter of fact, when I was a chair of SGI, Doug Richardson was on my board. He lobbied hard for the people that he thought he could. And he got some success. He did get some success. But you'll never have a guarantee with a lobbyist. You'll never have a guarantee at all. But you have to have someone that knows the people down there. I know how well he knows Champagne. I know how well he knows Fraser. And I know how well he knows Justin Trudeau. He knows them all very well. As a matter of fact, I think you'll find he's likely going to meet them in the next 24 hours.
Yeah.
As I've been told. So that's better than nothing. Us guys can't get a meeting with those people. We're not in that league. That's not our league. And as a result, we need a person like this. I'm prepared, certainly, to proceed with this. And I know it's not going to cost us $95,000, because that was a bit of I think, compaction of other people going in. And I know as well, it's likely not going to cost us more than $50,000 or $60,000. And that's money well spent if we can get any money at all from the federal government.
Okay, thank you. I will be one of the people, if this passes, going to Ottawa. So I've canceled my trip to FCM to control the costs. That's about a $3,000 cost. So that'll pay for one of my trips to go to Ottawa with the lobbyist. And so you just have to take things into proportion. And you're absolutely right. Who do we know? I was very fortunate to get Minister Fraser once on a Zoom call, and I've requested now in the last 3 months 7 times that. I've requested it probably 10 times for a meeting for them to come to talk about our crime. And that they won't even return my call now. So when you're out of that league, you have to step up, and I do believe that we're on the right course. So I'll prompt the question. Totally. I found it. Okay, the question's now open. Councillor Head?
Opposed.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. 11:18, Deputy Mayor appointment changes. No. You can't. No, you shouldn't move it. We'll get somebody else. Councillor Edwards. Oh, I tell you to do it, then I don't like Jeff.
Yeah, it helps a little bit. I'll move that the deputy mayor appointment schedule be amended as follows. Councillor Solomon, May 16 to August 15, 2024, and Councillor Ogrodnik, August 16 to November 13, 2024.
You, Councillor Kilmer.
I'll second that, thank you.
Okay, any questions? Councillor Boddick.
Thank you. I do want to make a statement, and
Okay.
I just want to thank council and my fellow councillors for accommodating me. A year ago, I would have never thought I would be on this journey, and there's been so many great things happening, but then also so many hiccups in the road. And right now, it's a hiccup in the road where I wouldn't be able to serve being deputy mayor over the next 3 months. And so I really thank Councillor Solomon for stepping up, and for all of council for making all of these accommodations for me over this past year. So thank you.
You're welcome. All the best. Okay. It's now open. Oops, sorry. No, it's not. No, it's open. Councillor Head?
In favor.
Thank you. 11:19, election date amendment. Now, if we get someone to move it and second it, I'll get the clerk to explain it. No. No. Councillor Miller, quickly.
Sorry. That's bylaw number 16 of 2024 be introduced and given 3 readings.
Seconder, Councillor Gilmer. Okay. Maybe City Clerk, if you could just explain what's up, please.
So I previously brought an amendment to change the date from 5 weeks to 7 weeks in order to help with the planning, and when we're doing automated vote counting, it's really beneficial to have that additional days. We didn't need it in the past couple of elections when we did use automated vote counting. And considering that the school board isn't able to follow the same legislation in adopting the 7 weeks, it's just, it's easier to align with the school division, less confusion for the candidates, the voters, if the nomination dates are the same for the same election being run by the same returning officer. And so that's essentially what I'm asking for.
Did you have a question? Oop.
I have a question for the city clerk. So if our council did vote that it's a 7-week nomination period, that would be a 7-week nomination period for council candidates and school board trustee candidates within the city, my understanding is that the RMs could also, they also have the power of then following us and then amending and moving their own motion that their election, because they're, you know, trustee in Birch Hills and the trustee, you know, in all the different municipalities, they could follow us and they could then decide to also set theirs as a 7-week nomination. Am I correct in that understanding?
Yeah, you are correct in that they have that ability as a municipality, but not, no, I shouldn't say that, sorry. It's a municipality of over 20,000 population. So
So they
all
don't.
of the little ones do not have that. They have to follow the legislated requirement, which is 5 weeks.
I see. So the communities of less than 20,000, no. If they were larger than
Yeah.
20,000, then they would.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'll prompt the question.
We've got some speakers.
No,
No, no, no. No? No, she moved the motion. Hello, Chair. Hello,
Sorry.
Chair. Okay,
Misunderstood.
okay. Well, everyone went, and I said, no, they're leaving their lights on because they've got to move the rest of them.
remember the orders from headquarters.
The question's open. Councillor Head?
In favor.
Thank you. City Clerk? Motion carries unanimously.
Mayor, we have bylaw number 16 of 2024 to rescind the provision of extending nomination date to up to 7 weeks prior to election day. This bylaw is for 3 readings today.
Thank you, Councillor Miller.
That bylaw number 16 of 2024 be introduced and read a first time.
Councillor Kilmer?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Question's now open. Councillor Head?
In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. Councillor Miller?
That bylaw number 16 of 2024 be read a second time.
Councillor Kilmer?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Let me prompt the question. Question's now open. Councillor Head?
In favor.
Thank you. Motion closed. Carried. Councillor Miller?
That leave be granted to read bylaw number 16 of 2024 a third time.
Councillor Kilmer?
I'll second that.
Whoa. We're open. All in favor?
In favor.
Thank you. Leave is granted. Councillor Miller?
That bylaw number 16 of 2024 be read a third time and passed, and that bylaw number 16 of 2024 be now adopted, sealed, and signed by the mayor and city clerk.
Councillor Kilmer?
I'll second that.
Thank you. The question is now open. Councillor Head?
In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, 1120 Prince Albert Police Proactive Policing Strategic Costs. Councillor Edwards?
I'll move that the 2023 operational and capital costs of the Prince Albert Police Service multi-year proactive policing strategy in the amount of $534,175 be funded from the Proactive Policing Reserve for year 2023. 2, that the amount of $534,178 be transferred from the Proactive Policing Reserve for year 2023 to fund the costs of the Prince Albert Police Service Proactive Policing Unit charged to the Police Service operating budget. And 3, that the 2023 police special tax revenue collect in the amount of $554,600 as per bylaw number 10 of 2022 be credited in full to the Proactive Policing Reserve for 2023 to offset the costs of the Proactive policing unit in future years.
Thank you.
That's like a tongue
Seconder,
I'll second that, Your Worship.
you'll second that? Thank you. I see no one in the queue. Oh, did you have a question? Thank you. Stand by. Stand by. Go ahead, Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you very much. My question is to Finance. How much was collected in 2023 as a result of the special police tax? Thanks.
Go ahead.
You're late.
Stand by. Stand by, everybody. Reset. Shift. You're up. Go ahead, Director of Finance.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Kilmer, for the question. In 2023, the amount collected was $554,600.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the question's now open. Councillor Head.
In favor.
Carried. Okay, unfinished business, we have none. Mayor and Councilors Forum. All right. Oh. Councillor Zapp.
Thank you. So we do have Prince Albert Cleanup Week, Pitch-In Week. It was mentioned in Notice of Proclamations, but specific to our city, May 6th until the 11th. On May 7th, the Downtown Business Improvement District has arranged downtown cleanup that I'm going to be a part of. And I'm really proud to say that there'll be a fleet of us going out and doing pitching in and cleanup work in our downtown on May 7th. As well, I'm proud to say that throughout our city, there will be 3 locations from May 6th to 11th where citizens can bring household garbage, metal to be recycled, et cetera, et cetera. So that is an initiative of this council, and I'm proud to say that we do provide that. It's a free service so that residents can clean up their areas and contribute to having that nice spring clean. I want to say thank you to Councillor Miller, who spearheaded this project over many, many years and has gotten it to this point now where it's a community-wide program. And that's important. Citizens appreciate it very much. And that many of us will be volunteering, and there will be other citizen volunteers operating these sites throughout that week. And if any member of the public is listening and they would like to volunteer, you can go to the city website or call the city and sign up to be a volunteer at one of those sites, or sign up to do some pitch-in and litter picking in an area of our beautiful city.
Councillor Brodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have 3. And this first one, I can't remember if I already acknowledged it, but I wasn't heard anyways. We knew in Prince Albert that we had a very talented young lady named Rebecca Strong, and now all of Canada knows with her golden buzzer on the show Canada's Got Talent. And so I just want to congratulate Rebecca Strong, her family, and all the people that supported her along the way to get to the point where she is today. She really did well and really is a great model and representative of the city of Prince Albert. Speaking of great models and representative of the city, Striker Zablocki plays U18 female hockey. Grew up in Prince Albert, was raised in Prince Albert, got all her start in Prince Albert, and made the choice to go to the Regina Rebels to play for them. And for the second year in a row, well, this past year she led all scoring on the team and in the league. And she and her team for the second year in the row are going to the national championship, the Esso Cup, and I do believe it's in Nova Scotia this year. So I just want to wish her and her teammates the best of luck in their quest for a national championship. This last one is not so nice, but I just need to inform the public of a change that has affected patients at the Victoria Union Hospital that access treatment at the chemotherapy unit. the government of Saskatchewan,
Yes.
Saskatchewan Health Association, out of nowhere last Thursday, canceled the parking pass program for patients, cancer patients, going to the chemotherapy unit. You know, when we talked about it, I was there Thursday morning getting my treatment, and the patients and I talked about it, and the nurses felt bad telling us this, that you no longer can get this pass, and for some, it has added an extra burden, a financial burden, more stress. Having cancer is a stressful situation. There's so many unknowns, and the only thing you have is hope. And when you got that little bonus of not having to pay to go get treatment, that was great. And that was taken away from us last Thursday. And I just want the public to know that this is what is happening to cancer patients in Prince Albert. For me, you know, I used it once, the parking pass. Since last September, when I was going there, I used it once, and the only reason I used it was because I forgot to bring $5. It usually costs me $4.50 I have to pay for parking, but I had 20 and I didn't want a whole bunch of coins. So I said, okay, I'm gonna use the parking pass. But there are some patients that I know, when they're there for 5 hours, that's $10. And for some of them, they might go multiple days. Each one of us are different. But definitely, I know one, she said it's going to cost her $40-50 a month extra. And when you have cancer, you're not working. You already have a reduced income, and then now adding that, and then all the extra drugs it costs and all that. You know, I'm very lucky. My chemo pills that I take are $331 twice a day. That's what my one set of pills in the morning, $331. The afternoon, evening, it's $331. That's covered, thank God. But not all of it's covered, and so that extra little $5 for me, you know, or whatever, it does cause a lot. So I just want the public to know that, and for the public to tell their MLAs that this is wrong. This is wrong to charge cancer patients that extra cash to make that money for that parking lot. And I'd like to know where that money is going for that parking lot. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Just shocking. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to add further to Councillor Lennox Zepp's discussion about the community cleanup week, and just to add a few more things, and this is all grown out of what Councillor Miller has done for years. Not only does she get the kidlets going and picking up and feeds them in her ward, but this year it's grown to that it has its own hashtag now for our city, which is hashtag capital P, capital A, Spring Clean 24. So if people are out and about and doing their part on their blocks, cleaning up and helping people within their community and their block, help them, senior citizens, those anybody helping them clean up and taking the trash to the different sites. That is great if they'd like to take pictures and show that. But not only that, the casino participates every year in cleaning up around 2nd Avenue and the Rotary Trail. The service clubs are pitching in and cleaning up in the different parks that are named after them this year, and they're going to be using the hashtag. And I'd like to remind everyone that the Optimist Club, club that every dollar that they get goes to kids in our community, that they are offering an appliance pickup. So if you go to the city website, you can find, I think it's Les, and I don't want to give out his number, but it's the Optimist Club, will come to your house and carry the appliance out of your home to help our community have a nice little spring cleanup. So thank you to Councillor Miller, and we look forward to everyone visiting our 3 sites.
Right on. Councillor Cody.
Yes, Your Worship. Last week, unfortunately, I wasn't here. I was at a SUMA meeting, but we had the Samuel McLeod Awards. And there was a lot of good awards given. I can recall, I think, if I read it right, that River Park, Grays, and place I work at, Memorial Gardens, received the Business of the Year, and River Park and Grays and our organization also received the award of community, I think it's community something, whatever they call it. And Marianne Turcott from Bolac also won an award as an individual for the work she does in the funeral business. So the funeral business was certainly well done.
That's because your
for
clients
sure.
don't complain.
But there's others around that received awards, and we want to congratulate them, and also the participants, and those who didn't receive. They're just equally as good as the others. But there's also a special one, and that's a young fellow who got the young entrepreneur of the year, for heaven's sakes, at 20 years old, and that's our worthy councillor's son, Aidan Edwards. And that's fantastic, I think, to see a young man get into business like he is, and he designs, he entertains, and the whole gamut. So, and I noticed that the Chamber of Commerce has, on May the 30th, I believe it is, has asked him to come to talk about his entrepreneurial things. And so he's a guy who's on his way. And we congratulate him, and we congratulate all of those who participated, and all of those who were nominated, and those who won as well. So thank you, sir, for that.
Thank you. Councillor Edwards.
Thank you. Thanks for the kind words about my son there. It was quite an honor watching him go up. Last week we were at SUMA,
Yes.
and very important to attend the conference. What I find beneficial of the SUMA conference especially is when we have an opportunity to ask questions to the ministers. And I can say that in the one that I sat in that morning, that Wednesday morning, we talked about the need for drug court in the city. And we hope that the provincial government will help lobby the federal government to look at this type of thing, and it could be provincial jurisdiction as well. I'm not exactly sure where it fits, but it's important that not all the people that are involved in crime need to go right to jail. They could choose treatment, and it's important, I think, to look at these types of alternatives, and we need to really work hard on this, because I think it would be a positive for the community having those opportunities. I just heard North Battleford received one. I think it's Prince Albert's turn. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else under mayor's inquiries? Oh, mayor and councillors. Gotta take my glasses off. Form. Okay, hearing none. Inquiries. Councillor Zepp.
I do have a question. It might, we might have some answers now or later. What is the status of action being pursued on the issue of homelessness in our city?
Okay. Do you want to comment, or will we get back to them? Director of Planning.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Lennox, for the question. It's a good question that I think requires a very thoughtful response. So if, with permission of council, I'd like to report back with further detail.
Thank you.
Councillor Brodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have two. First one is our local MLA, Alana Ross, on social media was talking about classrooms, care, and communities. The budget, classroom care and communities is what it is. She indicated that we're investing, or sorry, the provincial government is investing in community safety 160 municipal police positions in this budget. And so I'm wondering, how many is the city of Prince Albert getting out of those 160, or is that already existing police officers that are just being re-announced? Is it new police positions?
We'll have to get back to you. We've asked for the details. We think it's existing.
Okay.
but we'll get your report because we've asked that question.
Okay, good. I will do it in writing as well, how many
Thank
of
you.
that. And then the second question, and I don't expect an answer tonight, but I will put it in writing, and this might be a lot of work. I don't know, maybe I need a motion instead of an inquiry. But I was just wondering, how much PST does the city pay? And in two parts. One is, since 2017 on construction, that was changed, where we never used to be charged on construction. So in the past, since 2017, when that policy changed, or the provincial government made us pay on PST or expanded the PST to include construction, how much have we paid extra? Because that means that's how much the residents have to come up with. I know the aquatic facilities and Twin Rinks is approximately $6.6 million in PST. I know that one, but how much other construction? And then the second one is just all other amounts of PST that we pay, if that's possible. I don't know if that's an easy find. If it isn't, then I'll make a motion, for that report. But is it an easy find?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Grodnick, for the question. We would have to look into that to get you the numbers. So did you want 2017 to current?
No, I just want 2017 to current on construction.
Oh,
That
just-
should be easy.
Okay, just
But
on.
the PST, just in 1 year, how much do we roughly pay in other stuff other than construction on PST?
Well, that I would have to look into and get back to you as well.
Okay. And,
Okay.
okay, thank you. I'll put a written inquiry.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. Just inquiry probably towards bylaw. What are we doing? What's the plan this year to manage the setup of tents within the city? Yeah, tents from the homelessness, sorry,
Encampments, yeah.
encampments. No, I don't want one in your backyard, no.
Go ahead, Director of
Yeah,
Planning.
thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Edwards, for the question. I'll provide a detailed response in Mayor responses, but I can say we're directing additional resources to our bylaw unit to, for the after impacts of camps, but we also want to get in front of the issues as well and provide our homeless individuals with services. So I think that is a response that will require some more detailed information. I'd be happy to provide that to you.
Okay, so if residents find an encampment where it likely shouldn't be,
Yep.
they contact our bylaw department.
Absolutely, I encourage
That's
them
the
to
first
contact
call they do.
our bylaw division or report a bylaw violation online as well as another great resource for them.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, thank you.
Councillor Cody.
Yeah, this is an inquiry that I've already spoke to the Director of Community Services about, and that's with regards to 22nd Street and the bush along there and the stuff that needs to be cleaned up. I won't give you a written statement. You already answered the question, and I'm satisfied with the answer. But I just wanted the public to know that when they do phone me, I do ask the question. And because a lot of times they tell you, well, you didn't answer, you'll be back, or you didn't do this or that. So, but I'm just saying to the public that, look, I did ask the question, what are we going to do along 22nd Street? And I've got an answer. They have it in the queue. And I'm just hoping that we can do something in this particular year because it is really quite an eyesore. And, we've got a beautiful golf course, one of the greatest in the nation, and we should be able to look at the trees nicely along there, not to have to look at the fence which is torn down because there's trees laying on it and the like. So he's already given me the answer, so I'm okay there. But just so the public knows that we are doing it and we will have it done in jig time.
So now I know where I can find the Director of Community Services on 22nd Street. Way to go. Golfing. Okay, we're moving on. Inquiry responses. If I could have someone move this item. Councillor Edwards.
I'm just gonna comment on the one,
I got to get a mover and a seconder first.
I'll move the motion, sorry.
Okay, seconder. Councillor Solomon. Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Edwards.
Thank you. So, my inquiry from last week was what's happening with the motion requesting the federal and provincial government to discuss homelessness, crime, and addictions in the city. Well, we got responses from the province, but we didn't get responses from the federal government on a very important topic. So we have trouble contacting the federal government. So hopefully we get their attention with this somehow, some way, and kind of shows the need for a lobbyist. Thank you.
You're welcome, and I'm not giving up on it. Okay, I'll prompt the question. Look at that, we'll still make the time to drop the puck. Oh, the question's open. Councillor Head.
In favor.
Thank you, motion carried. Okay, notice of motions. Councillor Zapp.
I have a notice of motion to make, and I'm going to ask if it could be heard tonight. And I provided it to the city clerk. I don't know if she has it there already. I'll read it out loud as well. That administration conduct a review of cannabis retail operating hours.
Is it broken?
Sounds like it.
Oh, does not. I'm not agreeing it. Okay. Okay. Just, it's not broken, I don't, okay, we'll wait till we get there. Okay, any other notices? No, under motions, Councillor Head, you're withdrawing your motion 17.1?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, I'm going to withdraw the motion, being that the outcome of our agenda today already addressed that.
Does he need a motion, or you just withdraw it? You'll just withdraw it? Okay, thank you. On Councillor Zepp's motion to be heard tonight, she has to ask for leave, and she has to get unanimous leave? Is it unanimous? 2/3. 2/3? Okay. Go ahead, Councillor Zepp.
So I'm asking that provisions be waived to hear this matter tonight, as we have been dealing with the general issue of operating hours.
Okay, Councillor Miller? You'll second it?
I'll second for discussion, for sure. I need some of that.
Discussion, yeah, you need some. Go ahead, Councillor Zepp. Oh, no, we got to ask for leave. Oh, good. Okay. No, we don't. We have to vote on leave first. If you don't want to hear it, you vote no.
You can debate about leave, but not the content, right?
Yes. Okay, it's now open. Leave is not granted. No, well, we know it. Okay, there's no public forum. Councillor Kilmer. Go ahead. Councillor Solomon, you second it? All in favor? Sure, we're adjourned. Thank you, very good meeting.